as the mad Donald Blake continues to tear a swath across the Marvel Universe. Who will rise to assist King Thor? Well, let's hop into the pages of Thor issue number 13 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up from where the last issue had left off, Valkyrie had found the once former King Odin of Asgard drinking himself to death in an alien bar. What had become of this once great Asgardian hero, this mythic one-eyed warrior? Well, it would seem after relinquishing the throne and powers of King, Odin had drifted through the universe trying to rekindle his marriage with Freya. It did not go so well. And it didn't take long before Odin found himself all alone. No queen, no kingdom, no subjects, no reason to continue on the way he was, which I guess is a little better than the whole was dealing with Norse Alzheimer's that he was going through at the end of War of Realms, so he should really count his blessings. Now, Odin and Jane Foster had never seen eye to eye, and there's still a lot left unsaid between these two former foes from Jane's time as the Goddess of Thunder. Of course, it doesn't take Valkyrie long to tear a couple well-deserved strips out of the former king, saying this Donald Blake mess is really all of Odin's fault, and that if he wants to stop feeling sorry for himself, he can start acting like that legendary hero everyone remembers him being and go help his son and kingdom in need. Of course, it's going to take a lot more than just Jane and Odin if they ever hope to defeat Donald Blake. From there, we transition on over to see what Sif and Beta Ray Bill are doing in that hell dimension. They've armed themselves with the help of the friendly goat people that call this dimension home, and while Sif is still a little unsure about their next course of action, Bill actually has a fair amount of faith that these things work out when you're a superhero. And you know what? He's right, because Doctor Strange shows up to make the save. Now, these three superpowered individuals have really good reason to want to go wring Blake's neck and have themselves a little rematch for the embarrassing defeats they suffered previously, and they're not alone. Loki wants in on this too. But because Loki and Strange have their own history, most of that actually written by Donny Cates himself, the God of Mischief refuses to actually get involved until Strange asks for his help. Because even if the fate of the Yggdrasil is on the line, some gods are just petty like that, and Loki is most definitely petty like that. Speaking of the Yggdrasil, as we check on in with Blake, he's chopping it down like a coked up lumberjack. The idea being that maybe if he can absorb some of the sap from the World Tree, then he can absorb the all-power for himself and maybe finally get to be a real boy. Of course, the Fellowship of the Thor have other ideas, as led by Throg, they all manage to show up just in the nick of time. And man, I gotta say, this is a really cool panel and a nice little celebration of how vast and deep the Thor supporting cast has actually come in such a short amount of time here under Cates. Odin also gets to make a super cool entrance himself. After all, this is basically his big re-debut party, complete with some new armor too. Odin just doesn't bring his physical prowess to this fight too, he brings a fair amount of sass too, saying that for his crimes, Donald Blake should have his name stricken from all history and be unmade once and for all. Also, hey genius, you were so quick trying to chop down the World Tree, you didn't stop for a second to wonder where all that sap you're getting everywhere is actually going. Well, it's dripping down, all the way down, to the prison dimension wherein King Thor is being held, and once he finally realizes that there's something above him, he unleashes with the full power of the Thor Force, blowing a hole in between dimensions. Now, while this is undoubtedly cool, it doesn't solve all of Thor's problems right away. There's still a lot of old rules in place. He cannot inhabit the same space as Donald Blake. But this is where King Thor actually gets quite clever. You see, with the help of the Asgardian ravens, Thor actually manages to carry his soul out of the prison dimension and into a willing conduit. That conduit, as the comic winds down, we discover is none other than the frickin' destroyer armor which Thor plans to use to defeat Donald Blake once and for all. And so that was Thor issue number 13, everybody, and once again, Donny Cates just keeps the hits on coming. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. This story arc really is a celebration of just how cool Thor's supporting cast is. From Valkyrie and Beta Ray Bill and Sif pretty much doing all the heavy lifting this story, to Donald Blake himself more or less being relegated to a Thor side character, to becoming one of the coolest villains in a long time. I like what Cates does with Odin too, even if I feel like so many different writers at Marvel all have a lot of different ideas about what Odin should be. Jason Aaron has his own version going on in Avengers. And then you got this sad, heartbroken, drunk version trying to rebuild himself and find his place in the world again. It's all very compelling stuff. Overall, I'd give this one a super positive 8.5 out of 10. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite Thor stories in a very long time.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.